Welcome to Cliffhangers and Cocktails podcast with Amy Sissel, moi, and
Shea McLeod, moi.
USA Today bestselling authors of paranormal women's fiction, among other things. Brought to you, as always, by the Caftan Coven.
Woo-hoo! Welcome to our mini podcast where we discuss a single topic related to the craft, whether it be craft cocktails, witchcraft, or writing craft. Today's topic is going to focus on the writing craft, specifically how we write.
So we're both published authors, and we've been writing a long time. Shea a little bit longer than me. And so we have a lot of experience, but we have different methods of approaching our craft and writing our books. So Shea, what are your first steps?
So obviously, as I'm sure for all writers, it starts with that light bulb moment, that bit of inspiration. Some of my best selling work has come from a dream. Like I've literally dreamed about the story and then written it. But it comes from all kinds of things. I could be watching something on TV, whatever. And then I do noodling. That's what I call noodling. It's just where I had that idea simmering in the back of my brain, and it could be weeks or years.
You write it down?
I do write the idea down, yeah, first. And but then I let it simmer because there was one book that I had in mind for like 20 years before I wrote it. I just couldn't, I knew the title. I knew sort of the angle of the book, but I didn't really know. And then eventually I lived enough life to figure it out. So, but typically it's more like months, depends. And then I start sort of plotting, and I have what I call an art journal method that I sort of came up with many years ago. And I actually have a book on that called Writing Faster with Art Journaling.
I'm looking for my copy of it.
Ah.
Because I have it, but I don't know what shelf it's on.
Oh. So. Yeah, I have one around here somewhere, but I'm not sure where.
We'll drop a link in the show notes.
Yeah. But I basically sort of take just a journal, like, a normal journal, and
I was gonna grab mine so I could look all cool and prepared when it came to this part and show my special something.
Ooh.
That sounded weird. I'm not showing my special something. They're actually right here on my desk.
I don't have my good ones here. I put the good ones in a box. I just have my but yeah, I'll do like woo. Yeah, see, I have I do all kinds of different journals. It doesn't really matter. It's whatever.
I only do these.
I do different ones. Like I'll do pretty one like this, or I'll do these sort of more homemade looking ones, or whatever. And
I found these ones and I adore them, and I will never, oh my God, I hope they're available in Europe and I don't have to buy 700. My suitcase is just nothing.
Yeah, because I ran into that too, because I started writing and publishing when I was in England, and I found these really cool notebooks at W.H. Smith that were perfect, and you can't get them here. So I had to switch, and now I just do all kinds of different journals because it satisfies my lust for journals. And yeah, so I do this method, which is I'm not going to go into great detail, but it involves
Read the book.
You read the book, but it involves some fun artwork, like gluing in pictures and writing little details. And I don't do writing. I don't do the pictures typically anymore.
I'm making faces at Shea.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, see, mine now, it's like, here's the one for If the Broom Fits. And
you'll have to take pictures of that so that we can share.
So
it's hard to see, especially for people listening on Spotify.
Yeah. So I don't do images anymore like I used to. Typically, sometimes I do, or sometimes I'll draw a map or whatever. But it just depends on, what I need to do. And I sort of plot out loosely. It's more of a general suggestion than it is a very clear direction. I'm sort of a pantser. I discover a lot as I go. And so that's how I sort of get started. So how do you get started?
Well, I also have an inspiration,
Mm.
um, because yeah, that's
I
kind of
mean,
just
that's
how it
kind of how it
works, like
works.
Shaya said. Um, like for instance, one time I was driving down this large street near my house,
Hmm.
and there was just at the side of the road, randomly, those neon signs that you see like at psychics.
Hmm.
It was just like a tarot neon sign, and it had a little for sale.
Oh,
And I was like, huh, interesting. And then I wrote the first book in my Oracle Bay series about a woman who goes to Oracle Bay and buys a vacant tarot shop.
that's so
Um,
cool.
and so that's kind of like, I like to, what I was talking to a young person once. That sounded weird, but a student,
Hmm.
elementary student who wanted to be a writer. And she was like, tell me, how do you write fantasy when everything is so real all the time? I was like, first of all, fourth grader, it shouldn't be all real all the time for you. You are still a child. Please go out and see magic. And I said, but really, what you need to do is when you walk through this world, you look for that everyday magic,
Hmm.
something that just seems a little cooler or more special or sinister, and you spin that. And that's how I
Hmm.
write fantasy. I don't noodle. Um, I gnocchi with potatoes. No, I don't. I don't do that part. I will write down my idea. Uh, Typically, and this is my process, is that if I'm looking for inspiration for something, I have a project in mind.
Aha. Okay.
I have, oh God, you guys, I have a 10-year plan on what I'm writing, when it's being published, and titles for at least 4 years out. I'm very rigid about that piece of it. So it's not very often. And even when I saw that Oracle Bay, or that tarot sign at the side of the road, I knew
Hmm.
that I was going to be writing a paranormal romance,
Hmm.
set on the coast of the
Yeah.
Pacific Northwest.
Hmm.
And I just wasn't quite sure how I was going to start. And I'm like, that's it. That's how I'm going to
That's how
start.
I'm starting. Okay.
And so then what I do next typically is I read Shaya's book. So I have my little journals. This one
Woohoo.
says, "Woo, this is going to be such a fun surprise for you guys." Eleanor World. This is the
Woo!
prequel for a new series. This says
Awesome.
prequel to Silver City Shifters.
Woo!
This is a title reveal, Deadwood
Mm.
Wolfpack. So
Woo!
I write in this journal, and this is where I just brainstorm. And like I talk about who I want my main characters to be, what character, like for this one, it's because it's a spin-off from a previous series.
Hmm.
Um, like mentioning where I think they might be in the other series, and then just kind of like brief character bios. And then I just start journaling about it. Like, what do I think is going to happen? What do I want to happen in Act One? What do I want my overall story arc for this novel to be? And because this is going to be a new series, what do I want my series arc to look like?
Hmm.
Um, and do I want to have the main character, like, just here's my chapters. Oh, just tea with the girlies, it says right here. I often write really weird notes to myself in these.
Yeah, I've got some
Some
of those.
some of which are not helpful
Yeah.
at all. Like, and then the killing became killier. The fighting became fightier. And then sometimes I'll just write. Like, I'll be like, this is how I want to open the book. And it
Hmm.
might not make it that way, but that is kind of how I'll start drafting out my feelings.
Hmm.
And then I go to a program called Plotter,
Mm.
where I shockingly plot.
Mm.
And I'm not like, some people write really extensive outlines, and
Hmm.
I don't do that, but I still write a chapter by chapter outline, based on the story arcs that I want to happen, to make sure that I'm hitting all the points that I want. At this point, I've identified my A plot, which is the
Hmm.
main story, B plot, which in a romance novel, or in a mystery novel might be a romance, or in
Hmm.
a romance novel might be a mystery.
Right.
And then sometimes I have a C plot, which is just other behind the scenes stuff that might move up to a B plot later,
Hmm.
or an A plot.
Hmm.
Just not like as detailed as some people do.
Hmm. So your first draft, do you do a first draft? How many drafts do you do?
I do a draft and then I send it to my developmental editor. And then when it comes back, I
Okay.
rewrite it.
Interesting.
And then that goes to copy editor, and then I come and I incorporate that, and then it goes to proof.
Okay.
So I have 2 rounds of edits and proofreading, and I
Hmm.
do revise between each one, but I
Hmm.
don't do multiple drafts before it goes to my first
Okay.
editor.
And
And what
see,
about you?
well, I do. So I write I mean, kind of like you, I have an outline chapter per chapter, but it's very loosey goosey. And sometimes I'll have completely blank chapters because I have no idea. And I won't know until I get there. I know the look on your face is horrified. I can tell.
Do you
But
write linearly?
I do write linearly. Linearly, yes.
Because
Because
Chris does not always write linearly, and I'm like, how?
well,
But
sometimes
everyone is different.
yeah, sometimes I don't. Okay, so I usually know how it begins and how it ends. And of course, it's all that stuff in the middle that I have to figure out. Sometimes I will know some scenes in the middle. So once in a while, I will maybe write a scene out of sequence just because it's so clear in my head and I need to get it down before I lose it. But typically, I write very linearly. So by the time I get through the first, how many of her chapters I plotted, I generally have a good idea what's going to happen for the next few chapters. So then I plot them out again. So so basically that whole thing is what I call a down and dirty draft. Some people call it a discovery draft, but it's usually about half the length that my finished novel will be. And I write it fast. I don't worry about lots and lots of description. I have a lot of insert sexy times or insert murdery times or, or
The
insert
fight gets
them.
fightier.
It gets fightier. Insert conversation about such and such. Um, when I get that done, because I actually don't like writing that first draft that much. I mean, I enjoy the finding out story, but I just want to get it out fast. I just want it out of my head because when I sit down with that down and dirty draft, then I can start fleshing it out. I can start feathering in description, more character, build more character, put in all of those fighty tea time scenes, or whatever. And when that gets done, I usually just do one of those, although sometimes I'll have a book that drives me crazy and I have to do a little bit, like maybe 1.5 times or 2 times. But I'm not doing like a total heavy only one heavy rewrite.
Okay.
If I do a second rewrite, it's just a little bit of more feathering. So, and by the time I get done with that, it's usually about 3/4 of the finished length. Then I send it to my developmental editor. He does the edits, and um, that's when I do all those edits, and he usually gives me some ideas about, oh, it would be, you could expand this, you could put something here and kind of expand on that. You could do more with this character. And then I do those edits, and then that brings me to like the full length of whatever. And then all I do is go through on with my Kindle and do a proofread because I found like literally reading through the final book on my Kindle helps me pick out not all. I mean, I swear to God, those things have 9 lives, but it helps me find it because I'm reading it through like a writer and highlighting the oopsies that I need to fix. And then I'm
Yeah.
done.
Well, it's like when you talk about like your plotting in your art journal,
Hmm.
how how long does that part take you before you get to the drafting?
um, I have had it take a couple of hours, because but I've also had it take a week. Um, Now bear in mind, I'm not like sitting there plotting the whole time for a week. I hit something and I'm like, I'm not sure what else to do, and I'm not ready to write. I need a little bit more noodling time. It's not like active thinking either. It's just noodling away at the back of my mind. And then and I'll be like frustrated because I'll be like, I don't know what happens. And then all of a sudden, boom. Oh, hey. I know how to deal with that. But yeah, typically anywhere from like a couple of hours to like, I don't know, a couple of days is pretty typical for me
So I
for
take
the
a couple of weeks usually between my brainstorming, 2 to 3 weeks for
mm,
brainstorming and plotting and outlining. Um, which I maybe that's my noodling. I don't know. I
I
don't
would say
my gnocchiing.
that's your no keying there. You're no keying. But like see, and I'm noodling by not even dealing with it. Just letting it sit there. Is basically, and also, like I said, sometimes I've only got maybe the first 4 chapters and maybe the last two. That's it when I start writing. I don't worry about having the whole thing planned out.
I
Um,
hate it though when something weird happens in the middle and you're like, "Excuse me, minor character, nobody invited you into this plot, and you're supposed to be very minor in my like F plot, and here you are like stealing the show. WTF? This is not
this
okay.
is not what we agreed upon. Um,
No, it's not in the outline. What is wrong with you?"
this happens to me all the time, which is why I stopped doing a full plot. I didn't even bother with it. I typically just like, that's why I just have those. And then that way, because of how I write, I haven't put so much effort into that first draft. I can go back and fill out what I need to do to make this person fit. Um, and that just works for me. I can't completely like plot like a plotter, but I can't just write by the seat of my pants, typically like a pantser. It's kind of in between.
You're a plotzer,
Plotzer. I'm a plotter or a pant
panter. No,
panter.
no, not a
No, no,
panter.
no, no, not a panter. Plotzer.
So where do you like to write? Like, what's your ideal writing space?
Well, it's in my office with the door closed. Well, actually, I do prefer the door open because I like to have room, but dead silent. The quieter, the better. Like, don't talk to me. Don't breathe near me. I don't like music. I just like it very, very quiet. And I will just go into the zone. And if I'm in the zone, like probably a herd of elephants could go in and out of my room and I wouldn't notice. But
I bet
but
you would.
well, I might. But I can't like I have to get to the zone and it's like if somebody's talking or there's things happening, it's almost impossible for me to get into the zone because I'm too distracted. Yeah.
I I like to write in coffee shops. I like to go in the evenings and write in a wine bar. When I'm writing at home in my office, which I also enjoy doing,
Mm.
um, I always have not music with words, but
Yeah.
like I have like Brain FM. I like their
Yeah.
ambient
Now I
noise.
have done that and there's specific songs with specific like tones or whatever and I turn it down so it's like you can hear it just enough that it's not you're not straining to hear it but where you're still barely hearing it and actually that really does sometimes help me get in the zone. um but yeah.
I don't want people to talk to me. Like
Well, yeah.
I don't want people to talk to me. I don't want to have like I don't like music with lyrics because
Yeah,
I don't want that to be
in your
distracting
brain,
me.
yeah.
But I do like taking a break, like when I write for like 20 minutes and take a 10-minute break or whatever. If
Hmm.
I'm out at a coffee shop or a wine bar writing, I love to eavesdrop. And I'm not saying stuff has never made it into my books.
I mean, there is that. And I have done sprints with friends at coffee shops, and those are fun. But typically, and my latest foray into writing, and I don't know if I've even talked to you really about that. Well, I think I have a little bit,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the
I know what you're gonna
I
say.
yeah, because of my physical limitations. It is very difficult for me to sit at a computer for long amounts of time and like you kind of have to do that for writing. So I started doing dictation, and I tried dictation before and it did not work for me. However, I took a course from a woman who really just sort of opened my mind to possibilities, and she really taught me some exercises that really helped me get into it. And I am so obsessed with it now. Like last week, I wrote 8,000 words in a week.
Whoa,
I have not written that much in at least 4 years
that's
because
amazing.
I know. And like this week, I've already written like 8,000 this week. It so I have a group where we sort of like, we sort of encourage each other on, and we sort of write like what we did, what we accomplished each week, which really helps me to feel better about, because I always feel like I'm not doing enough, which is a lie from my lying brain. But
Don't talk about my friend that way.
yes, ma'am. Sorry. But, sometimes your brain does tell you it misjudges things.
That's true.
And it tells you things that aren't facts. And for me, it's like you're not getting enough done because you're not getting done what you used to be able to get done. And even though there's legitimate physical reason for that, so by keeping track of what I do, it helps. The part that I'm doing for dictation is the down and dirty draft. That's
Ah,
what I'm doing. And then I can go, I'll rewrite. When I rewrite, I'll do it on the computer. But this gives me, like I'm lying in bed and dictating, 2,000 words in a day. And so that just gives me more time to be able to do that. And then while I'm sitting at the computer, I can do the rewrites and whatnot.
so I tried dictation once and hated it with a fiery passion.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't taken the course that you mentioned. And also like I wonder if part of it is your first drafts are down and dirty, and it
Yes.
felt too chaotic for me because mine are not.
Yeah, maybe. Um, there, it just could be, um, maybe you have to approach it in a different way or
Yeah.
something than I
Because I
would.
wanted to do dictation,
Hmm.
especially for one of my other series that we're not going to talk about. And it just wasn't working for me
Mm.
and it makes me sad.
Some of
Do
it
you use a
was,
specific software?
well, I used to use, the one that was named after a mythical creature. I'm not gonna say the name
Oh,
because
I was going to say the name until you were like, I'm
oh,
like, I know what it is. Okay.
well, and because I'm gonna diss it. It sucks
Does
like
it?
hard. I tried it when I first tried it. It was so freaking inaccurate because you supposedly have to train it, except it never seemed to get trained. And it was
There's
at
a movie
least
about that though. Did you watch the movie?
I haven't watched the new one, but I watched the original cartoon, yeah. And like, so they would maybe be 60% accurate. I had to do so much rewriting that it actually, I was like, because so my top typing speed is 80 words a minute.
Yeah.
Typically, when I'm writing, it's probably more like 60 because I'm thinking things and whatever. But by the time I factored in all of the rewrites I had to do to make this stuff legible, it was like 30 words a minute. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. This
I
is
mean, that's how
half.
fast I type when I'm writing, but I think too
Yes.
much.
See, and I don't, because I just like I have the scene in my head and I just go and I just describe it. And so it's fast. And I don't even sit down to write it until that I have that scene in my head
Mm.
usually. But that's why I'm faster typing some new word, typing while I'm creating a new words
New
than
words
than many people are because of how I do it.
because of
But
your down and dirty
because of
first
my down
draft.
and dirty first draft. Yeah. So, and I'm not worrying about getting anything perfect. I'm not worrying about like half the descriptions. I'm not worried about half the action. Like, I'm just getting shit on the page. And then, of course, when I go back in, that takes longer. Um, but now what I'm doing is I'm dictating this down and dirty draft. So I am not worried about if it's perfect or anything like that, or if I'm missing things, or I'm not worried about that. Now, for you, maybe dictating your brain dumps, uh, where you're figuring it out and doing maybe that's where that could work for you.
I might. So do you use a software now? My
Oh, sorry.
earbuds are so
Yes.
excited they're falling out.
So there was an author. I've tried a few. I've tried TurboScribe. I have one that I bought, which is pretty good, which is called like Pro Write or something like that. It's just an app on my phone. It was like $7.99 for a lifetime. And then, but the one I'm using right now is called Otter, and
Like the animal?
like the animal. Yeah. And it is an AI assisted um transcription. So it uses AI to assist it to transcribe what I'm saying. So it is more accurate than the other one that we talked about that is named after something you train. Um,
I did not realize that's what the movie was about.
apparently it is. So yeah, it makes it much more accurate than those. So that's why I like it, because I do have that issue with them being accurate. And it's quite accurate, and most of the time. You can also, train it and tweak things, but that it's been immense help to me. I think they call it assisted AI because it's not creating anything. It's just helping to make sure it's clear,
Yeah.
rather than generative AI. It's not generating anything new.
Okay. That's cool
But
because,
yeah,
I don't want to have to cut that out of the.
judge me. No, I don't use AI to write. Um,
No, neither of us do.
no, the words that I write are my own. So just to put that out there, and I try not to judge other people for how they do things, because, whether or not I agree or disagree with them, but
I do judge people who use AI to write their books. Yeah, my hair is all wonky. Cool. Is there
yeah.
anything else, Shaya, that you want to talk about with our writing craft?
Well, I don't know what sort of things, naming characters. How do you come up with cool character names? Or even uncool character names?
I was gonna be like bold of you to assume they're cool. Um, I mean, sometimes if it's just like a throwaway character,
Hmm.
I have a huge bookshelf behind me. I will
Hmm.
spin around and just look at all the author names and title names until something sticks out.
I love it.
Or I'll pull up a newspaper
Hmm.
online and like scan the articles for a
Hmm.
name if I
Hmm.
just need a throwaway. And then obviously there's certain names I will never use
Oh yeah.
because they make me feel sad.
Yeah. Or
Um,
mad.
or yeah, or angry. But like I get way so like my current book that I did my whole reveal for earlier.
Hmm.
Um, the main character in this book was one of those throwaway names in the first series.
Oh no.
So,
So you have
and I'm
to
like,
be
well, I can't.
careful.
You do, because she was like in just a couple chapters in the
Yeah.
beginning of the book,
Yeah.
or in the middle of the book. Um, but so her name is Rebecca, which is a perfectly normal
Oh, it's a
name.
perfectly good name. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like her
I
name
like
was.
the name Rebecca, Aunt Becky. No, my Aunt Becky's probably never going to listen to this, but I just have to throw that
I
in
have like
there.
I have a character in one of my books named Pixie Sunshine.
Ooh.
But she's a cat.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a character named Theodosia Pixie Twist, so, but she's a fairy, so,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
Um,
For my like main characters, I like to name characters after myself. Um, which can happen. Um,
I
we'll
love, so
never know which ones.
in my Lady Rample series, so it's set in 1930s Britain. And I love British people sometimes have the most bonkers names or place names. And so I love to look at like Google weirdest British surnames or something like that. And sometimes I'll cobble a couple of them together to come up with
Uh-huh.
something else that sounds like I had
Like
I
Cobblewampus.
well, I actually have a policeman called Cobblepot in what one of them.
I was so close.
You were so close. And like one, I was like, one of the characters in one of the books is Sir Rupert Relish. Yeah. Apparently I like to name people after food a lot or things like that. Cause like
Are you hungry when you write?
apparently I have a lot of cake, a lot of cocktails, a lot of cupcakes, a lot of cookies, and donuts also, and pie, depending on the series. Yeah, and tea, a lot of tea. So yeah, and people like lemon. Lemon is one of them. Yeah.
Just gonna
So
name all the food in all your books.
all of them, yes, all the food, and it's like every once in a while I'll throw in something savory, but it's like
Yeah.
nah, it's mostly just sweet stuff. But yeah, so like I'll look up one. I was trying to find a peer of the realm, so I was looking up like dukedoms or whatever that have gone out that are no longer active, and
Hmm.
like I picked the one with the weirdest name, you know, or something like that. So that's kind of how I do it. Although I do like the name of the idea of looking at names of authors and stuff like that. And I did have a victim once that was named after my cousin's ex who was abusive. And she's like, "Can you please murder my ex in a book?" And I said, "Sure."
Oh, I did that for a friend once.
Yeah.
And then I brought him back to life and murdered him again because I didn't like him either.
You're vicious. I like it.
It's nice when you write books that are murdery. Like, oh,
Yeah.
if anybody wants me to murder somebody in their book, drop a name. Maybe
Yeah.
don't, or like send us a message on Instagram. Maybe
I
don't
mean,
drop the name in the comments unless.
yeah. Send us a private message. Like, and I want to be very, very clear that this is fictional murder. We don't
Oh, yeah,
actually,
yeah, absolutely.
we do not
We do
actually,
not participate in anything else like that.
yeah, it's the witch's creed. Do as you will and harm none. Although there are,
Unless they deserve it.
unless they deserve it. Yeah. But
But
no, we,
not your people. I'm
no,
not murdering any of our
no.
listeners' people. I don't murder.
No, we do
There's no
not murder,
murder.
just
Except
fictionally.
in stories. That's a big, big, long disclaimer. I do
Yeah.
want to say, like, something we talked about how sometimes characters will come into a book and disrupt the whole thing,
Hmm.
even if you have done a very careful outline. But what happened to me as I'm writing this prequel for my new
Hmm.
series,
Hmm.
as I'm writing it, and I'm writing a prequel novella,
Hmm.
very short, 20,000 word situation,
Hmm.
and I'm writing it, and I'm like, uh-oh, I am I am a quarter of the way into my outline and I am at 20,000 words. And that's not okay.
It's a hefty
So now
outline. Yeah.
that's book one.
That was book one. I thought it was like
So
for the series.
I've decided that my prequel is now going to be book one, and now I have to write a whole new prequel that's going to be under 20,000 words because I can't. It was the story was too much.
Oh
It
my
was
gosh.
too much for 20,000 words.
Yeah, that's a lot. Like that's the novella itself.
Instead of being 25% of the story.
Well, I did have a thought that we could talk about world building, but I think that's like a whole nother like a
That's
whole
a whole
nother.
episode.
Yeah, and honestly, we're gonna have a guy on soon, and that's his expertise is world building. So we're gonna be talking to him. C. Clark Rowanson. No, C. Clark is the C. C. Okay,
Okay, we're just going to start over. Soon we will be talking to somebody.
right. And he's gonna come on and talk to us about world building. So that's his area of expertise. So keep watch this space for that episode, which will be coming out soon. So thanks for joining us today for our little chit chat about the writing craft. If you have questions about how we write or about the writing craft in general or about publishing, any of those questions, marketing, anything like that, drop a question, your question in the comments and let us know.
And if there's interest
Hmm.
in a topic, we'll do a mini-sode on it.
Yeah.
Because I mean there's the books that we talk about, but there's also so much to talk about in terms of our processes and
Hmm.
writing in general.
Yeah. and maybe some tips that you would like to have for your own writing process if you're an author. But we're going to be sure to drop the links for my books in the show notes. Also, was there something else we were going to drop in the show notes? I forget.
I was gonna I don't remember.
No, I think it
But
was, yeah.
you know what? I'm gonna edit this episode and I'll find out. And then I'll put it in the show notes.
In the
Don't
meantime,
forget to smash that like button.
woohoo! Like and subscribe. Be sure to share, leave comments, tell us what you like, and appreciate you stopping by today. We'll see you next time.
Bye.